He raised his boot, aiming it not at the woman but at the loyal dog standing beside her, a disabled veteran's service animal. In that Texas parking lot under the weak yellow lights, arrogance and cruelty were winning. The kid was laughing, shoving the dog that served as her anchor to the world. The only family she had right there, and the few people watching just stood silent. In these small towns, the air gets real still before a storm. You learn that evil doesn't always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it pulls up in a fancy car, thinking it owns the world, thinking that decency is for sale. It's in these moments that the soul of a place is tested, when honor seems lost, and impunity is laughing right in your face. It's when you wonder if courage has left the hearts of men for good, if anyone is willing to stand for justice anymore. But justice has a way of traveling on quiet roads, and it often arrives without a siren. Let me know what town or country you're watching from tonight, because this story is a reminder of a truth that belongs to all of us. You'll want to stay right here until the end. This isn't just a story about a fight. This is about the reckoning that happens when a silent guardian and his canine partner step out of the shadows to defend the line. This is the story of what happened when that kid attacked the wrong veteran in the wrong county. Some evenings just hang heavy, don't they? The Texas air was thick and still, cicadas humming their twilight song outside the Circle K. It's the kind of quiet that precedes a storm, a peace that feels borrowed. A woman, Sarah, pulled her dusty pickup into a spot. She moved with the stiffness of old injuries, reminders of her service dog, Buddy, glued to her side. He wasn't just a dog. He was her shadow, her stability, the anchor that kept her from drifting when the memories came knocking. This was her routine, her small slice of normal. But normal has a way of shattering when arrogance rolls into town. A shiny black sports car, the kind that costs more than most folks' homes, skidded into the lot, music rattling the windows. Out stepped a kid, maybe 19, with the kind of confidence that hasn't been earned, only bought. He swaggered, saw Sarah and Buddy, and his lip curled. He wanted something, maybe just attention, maybe just to feel big by making someone else feel small. He started in on her, his voice cutting through the evening quiet. He mocked her limp. He mocked the vest on her dog. The few other folks fueling up. They just looked down. You know that feeling? When honor demands you step in, but fear holds your boots to the ground. This kid's malice was growing, feeding on the silence. He stepped closer, invading her space, his laughter sharp and cruel. Sarah stood her ground, her hand on Buddy's back, her own courage being tested not by gunfire this time, but by entitlement. She tried to protect her small family unit, just her and the dog. If you believe that stories of real courage and quiet honor still matter, and that justice always finds a way, walk this road with us. This channel is a community for folks who believe in doing what's right. Go ahead and subscribe and join the conversation. It means a lot to know you're out there, standing with us. We value the quiet strength of good people, and we know you do too. The kid wasn't just loud. He was looking for a reaction. He wanted her to break. He wanted the world to bend to his whims, the way it always had. Sarah just shielded Buddy, whispering to him, trying to keep the dog calm, trying to keep herself calm. The air crackled. This wasn't just adolescent disrespect. It was turning mean. It was the kind of mean that doesn't stop itself, the kind that sees kindness as a target, the kind that mistakes quiet dignity for weakness. You see, a person's character ain't measured by the noise they make, but by the lines they won't cross. This kid, he didn't have any lines. He saw a disabled veteran and her service animal as nothing. To him, honor was a word in old movies, not something you live by. He didn't understand that the courage it took for her to just be there, standing in that parking lot, was more than he'd ever known. He just saw something to break. The tension stretched thin, like old wire pulled too tight. The clerk inside the store watched, his hand hovering over the phone. He'd seen fights, but this felt different. This felt like poison seeping into the groundwater. It was an offense against decency, an offense against the family values that hold a small town together. When you disrespect someone who served, you disrespect everyone. That's a code some people still live by, a code that demands justice. The kid was restless. pacing like a caged animal, enjoying the fear he was causing. He was putting on a show. But the problem with shows like this is that the actor forgets he's not the only one in the play. He forgets that every action has an echo. He didn't know that his voice was already traveling over a wire, carrying his malice into an office where honor isn't just a concept, it's a job description. He was just enjoying the moment. Sarah closed her eyes for just a second, a silent prayer on her lips. Not for herself, but for the dog beside her, the faithful partner who had pulled her from dark places. She needed courage now, not the battlefield kind, but the quiet, enduring kind, the kind that faces down shame and refuses to blink. She was protecting her family, and she wouldn't back down, even as the kid's shadow fell over both of them. He didn't care about the uniform she once wore. He didn't care about the sacrifices etched into her face. He just saw an obstacle, and as he looked down, his eyes drifted from the woman to the dog. A new, darker idea flickered across his face. He saw the vest, the "do not pet" patch, and he saw it as a challenge. The situation was already bad, but it was about to get a whole lot worse. This is the moment where evil prospers, when good folks do nothing. The bystanders felt it, that cold knot of shame. They wanted justice, but they didn't know how to get it. They were waiting for someone to draw a line. They were waiting for someone with the courage to step out of the shadows and remind this kid that some things just ain't for sale, and honor is one of them. But the kid didn't believe in lines he couldn't cross. He didn't believe in consequences. He lived in a world without them. He took another step forward, his focus shifting entirely from the woman to the animal at her side. He was about to cross a line that isn't written in any law book, but that every decent soul knows in their bones. And he was going to do it with a smile. He turned his attention, and that's when a different kind of cold settled in. A man who threatens a woman is a coward, but a man who targets her lifeline, her service animal, that's something else entirely. That ain't just cruelty, it's a special kind of darkness. The kid zeroed in on Buddy, the dog who stood between Sarah and the chaos of the world. He saw the vest, and he laughed, a sharp, ugly sound that cut the night air. "What's this?" he sneered. "Your little protector? Your emotional crutch?" Sarah tensed, moving to shield Buddy with her own body. "Leave him alone," she said, her voice quiet but shaking with a protective courage. "He's a service animal." But that was just fuel to the kid. He saw her fear, and it was like blood in the water to him. He didn't understand the bond between them. He didn't get that this dog was more family to her than most people. This dog was the keeper of her peace, the silent witness to her struggles. The kid lunged forward, not at her, but at the dog, shoving Buddy hard with his expensive boot. The dog yelped, a sound of confusion and pain. That's a sacred line. You don't put your hands on another man's dog, and you sure as hell don't assault an animal trained to save a life. It was a violation of honor, a complete betrayal of every decent instinct. The bystanders gasped, the spell of their inaction breaking, but they were still frozen. This dog was her anchor. You understand? When the nightmares came, Buddy would press his body against her until the shaking stopped. When the panic rose in a crowded store, he'd guide her out. He was her living, breathing reminder that she was still here, that she was safe. And this rich kid, in his reckless arrogance, was trying to tear that anchor away. He was attacking her courage at its very source, and a deep, righteous anger began to build in that parking lot. He started barking, mocking the dog, getting in his face. "Stupid mutt," he spat. "What good are you?" He was enjoying the spectacle, enjoying the humiliation. Sarah was trembling now, tears welling in her eyes, not of fear for herself, but of pure, unfiltered rage and terror for her partner. She was protecting her family. This kid was threatening her family. And in this town, family is a word that still means something. It's a bond sealed in loyalty. The kid didn't get it. He's the type who thinks justice is something his father's lawyers handle. He doesn't know about the justice that lives in the hearts of quiet people. He doesn't understand that honor isn't about the car you drive, it's about the respect you show to those who've earned it. Sarah had earned it. Buddy had earned it. The kid was just digging his own grave, metaphorically speaking, one cruel act at a time. Buddy, trained as he was, didn't retaliate. He whined, looking up at Sarah, confused by this unprovoked hate. His job was to protect, but he was also trained to be gentle. The kid shoved him again, harder. "Come on, dog, do something," he taunted. This was more than harassment now. It was escalating. It was turning into an assault, right there under the weak yellow lights of the convenience store, and nobody was stopping him. It's a terrible thing, watching a good creature be tormented. It stirs something old and primal in you. It's an offense against the natural order. A service dog is an extension of the person they protect. Attacking that dog wasn't just cruel. It was an attempt to break the woman herself. It was a power play, and the kid was winning. He was proving that his money and his arrogance meant he was above the simple rules of decency. You can almost feel the air go thin, can't you? That moment when you realize you're watching something truly wrong unfold. The kid's friends, who'd been laughing in the car, were quiet now. Even they sensed this had gone too far. But the kid was lost in his own power trip. He didn't have the courage to be decent, only the arrogance to be cruel. He didn't know that his actions were already setting something in motion. Sarah did the only thing she could. She put herself between the kid and her dog, taking the brunt of his next shove. She stumbled, her bad leg almost giving way. "Please," she whispered, "just leave us alone." It was the plea of someone who had fought bigger battles and just wanted peace. It was a plea for a justice that seemed a million miles away. But the kid just laughed at her weakness. He raised his foot again, this time aiming a real kick. He didn't care about the woman. He didn't care about the dog. He didn't care about the law or honor. He was a storm of his own making, wrecking everything in his path. He felt invincible. He felt untouchable. He was completely and dangerously wrong. Because in that exact moment, miles away, a different kind of storm was stirring. The Clark inside had finally made the call. He was whispering, his voice urgent, reporting an assault in progress. He was reporting a threat, a danger that had crossed the line. And that call was heading straight to the one man in the county who still believed honor was worth fighting for. That call wasn't loud, but it carried weight. It was the kind of call that makes the hair on a dispatcher's neck stand up. A good dispatcher can hear the truth between the words, and she heard it in the clerk's hushed voice. It's bad," he said. "This kid, he's hurting a service dog. The woman's a vet. Please send someone fast." In a big city, that call might get queued. Out here, in the high lonesome, that's a violation of everything we stand for. It's an attack on family, on honor. The call went out over the radio, cutting through the static. Deputy Mason heard it. He was finishing up a quiet patrol, his K-9 partner, Ranger, asleep on the seat beside him. Mason's a man who doesn't say much. He's seen too much to be impressed by loud talk. He values quiet courage and hard work. He's the kind of lawman who believes justice isn't about the siren, it's about the resolve behind the badge. He just keyed the mic. En route, at the sound of Mason's voice changing, before the truck even lurched forward, Ranger was up. Not frantic, but alert. You see, a K-9 like Ranger, he's not just a dog, he's a partner. He can read the subtle shifts in his handler. He knows the difference between a routine check and a call where someone's truly in trouble. His ears were forward, his eyes fixed on Mason. He was ready. He's a guardian, trained for this very moment, embodying a silent, watchful honor. They pulled onto the highway, the truck eating up the asphalt. Mason didn't need the lights, not yet. He preferred the quiet approach. Speed, yes, but not spectacle. Spectacle is for rookies. A real shepherd, a real protector, knows that you arrive like the tide, quietly but with unstoppable force. He was thinking about the call. A vet, a service dog. It struck a chord. It's a failure of courage for a community to let its protectors be harmed. Inside the cab, there was only the hum of the engine and the sound of Ranger's steady breathing. That dog is a picture of disciplined courage. He's seen a lot, just like Mason. He's trained for chaos, but his natural state is calm. He was just waiting for the command, waiting to do his job. That's the purity of a K-9. No ego, no malice, just pure duty. It's an honor to work with a partner like that, a true member of the family. Mason's mind was clear. He wasn't running hot. He was running cold. Hot anger makes mistakes. Cold anger That's different. That's justice getting its boots on. He was thinking about what it takes for a person to torment an animal, to humiliate a veteran. It's a rot, a spiritual sickness. And his job, as he saw it, was to be the cure. He was the line, and someone had just crossed it with both feet. The dispatcher's voice came back, calmer now that Mason was rolling. He's still at it, Mason. The kid's friends are watching. Mason's jaw tightened. The sickness was spreading. When folks just watch, they become part of the problem. They sacrifice their own honor for the sake of not getting involved. Mason knew that courage is a lonely business sometimes. You have to be willing to be the only one walking toward the fire. Ranger let out a low, soft whine, just a rumble in his chest. He sensed it. The speed of the truck, the tension in his handler. He knew they were heading toward a conflict. He wasn't afraid. Fear isn't in his wiring. He was focused. He was a tool of justice, sharpened and ready. He laid his head on the center console, looking at Mason as if to say, I'm with you. Let's go to work. This is how justice travels in the real world. Not always like thunder and lightning. Sometimes it's just a man and his dog in a county truck driving through the dark. It's the steady, unwavering commitment to show up. It's the courage to face down the loud, arrogant evil with a quiet, unshakable good. It's the promise that you are not alone, that honor still sends its defenders. They were getting close now. Mason could see the lights of the Circle K in the distance, a small island of light in the vast Texas dark. He pictured the scene, the veteran, the dog, the kid. He pictured the fear, and he knew, with a certainty that settled deep in his bones, that he was about to restore the balance. That's the core of his job, not just enforcing the law, but defending the decent. The kid was still laughing, still posturing, convinced he was the king of that parking lot. He was drunk on his own power, blind to the world around him. He didn't hear the tires on the access road. He didn't see the dark-colored truck slow down, pulling into the entrance without lights, moving with a silent, deliberate purpose. He didn't know that his time was up, because the shepherd had arrived, and he hadn't come alone. Ranger was already on his feet, his muscles coiled, his eyes locked on the figures illuminated in the store's light. The moment of reckoning, the one that honor demands, was just seconds away, and it was going to be swift, silent, and absolute. The patrol truck rolled to a stop, its engine cutting off, and the silence that followed was heavier than any siren. Mason stepped out, not with a rush, but with a deliberate calm that pulled all the attention in the parking lot. He didn't slam the door. He just closed it, a solid, final thud. Ranger was at his side instantly, moving like a shadow, disciplined and alert. The dog didn't bark, didn't lunge. He just stood, a picture of coiled courage, his eyes locked on the kid. That kind of quiet is terrifying to a loudmouth. The kid's tirade stopped mid-insult. His laughter died in his throat. He saw the badge, but more than that, he saw the man. Mason isn't a big man, but he carries an authority that doesn't come from a uniform. It comes from knowing exactly who he is and what he stands for. He represents an old-world honor, the kind that doesn't need to shout. Ranger, sensing the threat, took one step forward, placing himself between Mason and the kid, a low growl just vibrating in his chest. The air shifted. The threat was contained. The veteran, Sarah, let out a breath she didn't even know she was holding. Her hand went to Buddy's fur, steadying herself. Mason's eyes met hers first, a quick, silent nod. It wasn't just, I'm here. It was, it's over. He was restoring the safety that had been stolen from her. He was bringing justice to this patch of asphalt, protecting this small family unit that had been terrorized. Have you ever seen that kind of quiet authority in action? The kind that doesn't need to raise its voice to be the loudest thing in the room. It's a rare thing these days, but it's the bedrock of real justice. You ever seen anything like this where you live? Let me know down below. It's a sight that sticks with you, a reminder that true strength doesn't posture. It just is. Mason turned his attention to the kid. He didn't walk up to him. He just looked at him, a long, steady look that measured the boy's soul. That's enough, he said. His voice was low, gravelly, like stones rolling in a dry creek bed. It wasn't a request. It was a statement of fact. The kid tried to puff himself up, tried to find his arrogant voice. Hey man, I was just... he started. "I said," Mason interrupted, his voice dropping even lower. "Enough." Ranger didn't move a muscle, but his presence was a wall. The dog understood the mission: restore order, protect the innocent. He was the embodiment of silent honor, a guardian who asks for nothing but gives everything. The contrast was stark: the kid's cheap, borrowed power versus the K9's earned, disciplined strength. The kid's eyes darted from the dog back to the sheriff. He was looking for an angle, a way out, but Mason offered none. "Turn around. Hands on the hood of your car," Mason commanded. The kid balked. "For what? You gonna arrest me for talking?" Mason just watched him. "You're gonna do what I said," he replied, "or Ranger here is going to help you do it. Your choice." It wasn't a threat. It was a simple laying out of facts. The kid, finally understanding that his money meant nothing here, that his arrogance was useless against this kind of courage, slowly turned. The clink of the handcuffs was the only sound. It was the sound of justice being served, small and metallic, but absolute. The kid's friends in their fancy car suddenly found their reverse gear. They scrambled to get out of there, leaving their friend to face the consequences alone. That's the thing about loyalty bought with flash. It evaporates when real honor shows up. They didn't care about him. They just cared about not getting caught in the same net. Mason spoke quietly to the kid, his words not meant for the rest of us, but you could see the kid's posture change. The arrogance drained out of him, replaced by a pale, shaky fear. He was learning a lesson that family money couldn't buy, that actions have weight, and courage doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes it means facing the music you, yourself, started playing. He was facing a different kind of authority now. Ranger never broke his focus. He stood guard, watching the kid, watching the surroundings, until the situation was completely secure. He was the silent partner in this dance of justice. His very presence was a testament to the honor of his training, a living symbol of protection. He didn't need praise. He just needed the work. He was the quiet guardian this town relied on, the one who shows up in the dark. Sarah just watched, her hand stroking Buddy. She was seeing something she hadn't seen in a long time, not just an arrest, but a defense. She saw a man who wasn't just doing his job, but who understood the violation that had happened here. He wasn't just enforcing a law, he was protecting the decent. He was showing the courage to stand up for the vulnerable, and it was mending something broken inside her. Mason finished securing the kid, then clicked his radio for transport. He didn't look triumphant. He just looked resolved, like a farmer who'd pulled a stubborn weed. It was just work that needed doing. But as the sound of another patrol car approached in the distance, you knew this single act of justice was sending ripples through the night, a quiet reminder that the line would be held. The flashing lights of the backup unit finally arrived, painting the quiet parking lot in strokes of red and blue. But they were quiet too. No sirens. They'd been told Mason was on scene. The kid, the one who thought his entitlement was a shield, was processed with quiet efficiency. There was no argument left in him. His arrogance had shattered the moment it met real, unbending honor. As the patrol car pulled away, taking the kid to a cold cell, the night seemed to take a deep breath. Mason didn't watch him go. That part of the job was done, the consequence delivered. His focus was where it belonged, on the one who had been wronged. He turned to Sarah, who was still standing by her truck, her hand buried deep in Buddy's fur. Mason moved slowly, closing the distance not like a lawman, but like a neighbor. He stopped a few feet away, giving her the respect of space. His presence was a shield, a silent promise that the danger was truly over. "Ma'am," he said, his voice softer now, all the steel gone, replaced by a deep respect. "Are you and your partner all right?" He didn't ask if she was okay. Okay is a small word. He asked if she was all right. He was looking at her, really looking, seeing the tremors she was trying to hide, seeing the warrior spirit that had refused to break. He was acknowledging the courage it took for her to just stand there and endure. Ranger, sensing his handler's shift, also relaxed. His duty of protection was over. He looked at Buddy, the other service dog, who was still watchful, still keyed up from the attack. Ranger let out a quiet, breathy exhale and took a step forward, his movements slow, non-threatening. He wasn't a canine officer now. He was just a dog, recognizing another of his kind. He lowered his head slightly, a sign of respect. This was a moment of peace. And then, something remarkable happened. Ranger nudged Buddy's shoulder with his nose. Just a simple, gentle touch. It was a silent conversation. The threat is gone. Your person is safe. You did good. Buddy, in turn, seemed to understand. He leaned into the touch for just a second, a quiet acknowledgement. It was a moment of solidarity between two working animals, two guardians who understood duty and honor in a way most humans never will. Sarah watched this, and a real, genuine smile finally broke through the stress on her face. It was the dogs that finally broke the tension. It was their simple, honest connection. She saw in Ranger the same dedication she saw in Buddy. She saw that her small family unit, which had felt so alone just moments before, was now being protected by another. It was a reminder that goodness still exists, that courage isn't always loud. Mason nodded, watching the dogs. "Good partners," he said, more to himself than to her. He knew what a canine meant. It's a bond deeper than family sometimes. It's a trust that's absolute. He saw the vest on Buddy, and he understood the sacrifice it represented, both the dog's and hers. He was looking at two veterans, each bearing scars the world couldn't see, and his resolve to see justice done hardened into certainty. He made sure she filed her report right there. He didn't make her come down to the station in the morning. He brought the justice to her. He treated her with a dignity that the kid had tried to steal. This is what accountability is really about. It's not just the cuffs on the wrist. It's the restoration of honor to the victim. It's making sure she knows that her community, and the law, stands with her. "I'll follow you home, ma'am," he said. It wasn't a question. "Just want to see you to your door. Make sure your night ends right." This wasn't protocol. This was decency. This was the silent guardian seeing the job through to the end. He wasn't just there to arrest the bad. He was there to protect the good. He was ensuring her safety, rebuilding the peace that had been shattered in this parking lot. She nodded, her throat tight. "Thank you, Deputy. Thank you. For everything." She got into her old truck, Buddy hopping into the passenger seat, his head immediately resting on her lap. The crisis had passed. The justice was swift, and the calm that followed was deep. She started the engine, the rumble a familiar comfort. She pulled out of the parking lot, but this time she wasn't alone. Mason waited, then pulled out behind her, his headlights a steady presence in her rearview mirror. Ranger sat beside him, watching the road. The town was quiet again. The stars were bright. It was just another night in Texas, but honor had been defended. Courage had been shown, not just by the law, but by the veteran who stood her ground. The work wasn't glamorous. It was just necessary. It was a quiet drive down a dark county road, escorting a hero home. And as his truck rolled over the cattle guard leading to her property, you knew this story was settling into the bones of the town. A quiet lesson that justice still has a guardian, and he often travels with a canine. The sirens fade. The kid who thought he was a king is now just a name on a booking sheet, facing a cold steel door and the hard lessons of consequence. But that's not the part of the story that stays with you, is it? What stays is the quiet. It's the image of a patrol truck's headlights cutting a path of safety through the dark, following a veteran home. It's the silent understanding between a man and his canine partner, and the gentle nudge between two service dogs who understood honor better than any human in that parking lot. It makes you ask yourself, when the noise gets loud and the cameras are all pointed the other way, who are you? When you see someone's honor, their family, their dignity being trampled on, do you turn away, or do you become the line? When your moment comes, and it will come, will you have the courage to stand for what's right, even if you have to stand there all alone? If you believe this world still belongs to the brave and the good, to the quiet guardians who don't ask for thanks, then stay with us. This road is long, and good company matters. Subscribe, and walk this road alongside me. Light travels slow in a long, deep valley, but it always arrives. And when that light, the light of real justice and unbending courage, finally touches the floor, every shadow trembles. May you never lose faith in the quiet, resolute strength of good people.